In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 most common mistakes that people make in Ironman triathlons and how you can avoid them. Hey, it's Coach Phil Mosley here, and if you're thinking about doing an Ironman triathlon, then you need to watch this video. I'm going to show you the 5 most common mistakes that people make and how you can avoid them. So whether you're a beginner or an experienced triathlete, this video is for you. Ironman triathlons are no joke. They require a lot of dedication and training, but even the most experienced athletes can make rookie mistakes on race day. In fact, I'd love to hear from you in the comments section if you've done an Ironman triathlon and you've made mistakes, or just what you wish you'd done differently with the benefit of hindsight. Mistake 1 is overpacking for transition. And transition is a key part of any triathlon, and it's important to know what you need and what you don't need during transition. So don't bring extra items that will only slow you down. Focus on the basics like bike, glasses, helmet, nutrition and shoes. The more extra stuff you try to include, the longer you'll take and the higher the chances of making a mistake and wasting time. Remember to practice your transitions at home before the big day, so you can get a feel for how much time it takes and if there are any unnecessary items slowing you down. Try to avoid changing outfits in transition if you can. I know it's a long race, but spending 15 minutes getting changed seems like a big wasted opportunity to me. Think about how much extra training you'd have to do to improve by 15 minutes. Personally, I think it's better to invest in a great tri-suit and try to do the whole race without changing, even if it means carrying a small stick of body glide in case you get uncomfortable. That said, if you're racing in extreme weather conditions, changing outfits can be worth the cost. It's easy to get caught up in the moment during an Ironman race and start off too fast without realising it. This mistake often leads to problems halfway through the course due to lack of energy reserves, which is not ideal for those aiming for fast times. Avoid the temptation to set yourself ambitious target times for each discipline. For example, I'm going to smash 1 hour 15 for the swim and then I'm going to hammer out a 6-hour bike ride. These kinds of target times are actually hard to predict because there are so many race day variables. And missing your target times on the day can often trigger a negative mental spiral where you feel like you're failing, and that's the last thing you need during a race. Whether you're doing an Ironman 70.3 or an Ironman 140.6, you should think of it as one long event rather than 3 separate ones. If someone told you that you had to run or cycle for 12 hours non-stop, how would you pace it? Super conservatively, I imagine. Well, that's also how you need to think during an Ironman when it comes to pacing. When you're swimming in open water, it can be hard to see where you're going. Your eyes are underwater a lot of the time, and even when you do look up, your eye line is low to the water and your goggles are steamed up, which is why Ironman triathletes often swim further than they need to on race day. In fact, Ironman triathletes have been shown to swim up to 10% further than they need to, needlessly adding 5 or 6 minutes to their swim times. Another reason why people swim too far is that they have a crossover, which is where one of your hands enters the water across the midline of your body. This is a common swimming technique error that causes you to swim at a slight angle, despite feeling like you're swimming straight. Fixing all these things and swimming straighter is not simple, but knowing about it helps. When you're swimming in open water, for example, try to sight every 12 to 20 strokes and then correct your direction if needed, even if those around you aren't. And if you're worried about having a crossover, try practicing with a pair of Finesse Freestyler hand paddles in a swimming pool. These are triangle-shaped hand paddles and they encourage a straighter arm entry, which in turn leads to straighter swimming. Imagine that for an experiment, you decided to consume nothing but energy gels, energy drinks and energy bars for an entire day. How would you expect to feel? Pretty sick, I imagine. But that's exactly what most people consume when they're racing an Ironman triathlon. And if that sugary diet makes you feel sick during a normal day, it's only going to make you feel worse during a long, tough triathlon when your body's already under lots of stress. Getting your nutrition right is always a tricky balance though. Consume too little and you risk dehydration or depleting your glycogen stores too quickly. Consume too much and you risk feeling sick and bloated, so much so that you can hardly run or cycle. One good tip is to separate out your hydration, nutrition and electrolytes into 3 separate components. For example, during Ironman events, I consume only water and Cliff Bar shots, plus the odd salt stick tablet along the way. By doing this, I'm only drinking water when I'm thirsty and eating Cliff shots for energy. And I don't have too many different products all sloshing around in my gut. I've also had success by using only Maurten 320 energy drink and nothing else. Maurten 320 has double the amount of carbohydrate of most other energy products, and it isn't too sickly sweet. Whatever you decide to use on race day, just make sure you've practiced it for a couple of months beforehand in training. A taper is a period of easier training in the lead up to a race that lets your body recover and adapt after months of hard training. If you don't give yourself enough time for a proper taper before an Ironman triathlon, you risk not being fully rested and then having a subpar performance on race day. A proper taper has been shown to boost race day performance by as much as 5%, which is not something any of us can afford to ignore. So next time you're racing an Ironman, give yourself a gradual 2-week taper without any long distance workouts or super tough interval sessions. So a taper doesn't mean you should stop training altogether, but it does mean cutting your workout duration and having a few rest days. Racing an Ironman triathlon isn't easy, but by avoiding these 5 common mistakes, which are overpacking, poor pacing, swimming too far, overdoing the sugary snacks, and inadequate tapering, you can make sure that your event experience is as successful as possible. Good luck.